Good morning, first grade. This is Mr. Maraca. Today, Mr. Maraca is going to read chapter 2 and 3 from Judy B. Jones, first grade reader, Boss of Lunch. So, Mr. Maraca forgot to do chapter 2 yesterday, and I apologize. So, I'm going to read 2 chapters today. And last time we read this book, we read Judy B. Jones. We noticed that Judy B. Jones got her new lunchbox and wanted to show off to the whole class. And then she created a whole debate over lunch in home lunch versus school lunch. Let's see what happens. Chapter 2, Hoagies. The lunch bell rang at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock is around noonish, I believe. I picked up my lunchbox and ran to the door. Then I lined up with my friends, and I wanted to go. It's almost time, I told them, very thrilled. It's almost time for me to eat out of my brand new lunchbox. I held it up for them to see again. Which baby bird do you guys like the best? I asked. Pick one, okay? My friend named Jose looked at the birds, shrugged his shoulders. I don't know. I guess maybe I like the duck best, he said. Ducks can be very funny sometimes. One time when we were having a picnic at the lake, a duck chased my sister and stole her ho-ho. My friends Lenny and Herb laughed really hard. They looked at my lunchbox too. I think I like the owlet the best, said Herb. Me too, said Lenny. I saw a TV show on owls once. An owl swallowed a giant rat in just one bite. He didn't even chew or anything. After that, I stared at Lenny a real long time. 'Cause that disgusting story just ruined my owlet, that's why. Finally, all of room 1 walked into the cafeteria together. The cafeteria is a big room where we eat lunch. It has smells and noise and tables in it. Room 1 sits near the window. I zoomed there speedy quick. Come, Herb, I called. Come, Lenny and Josue. It's time for you to watch me eat out of my new lunchbox. I turned around to wait for them. Only too bad for me, because none of those guys were even coming. Instead, they were standing in the stupid, dumb lunch line. My mouth fell open at that sight. Herb, hey Herb, I called. What do you think you're doing? Why aren't you coming eating with me? Herb shouted back. I'm buying my lunch today, Judy B. Josue shouted too. Me too. Everybody's buying today, Judy B. Hoagies. We're having hoagies, hollered Lenny. Save us a seat. My shoulders slumped, real disappointed, because I wasn't really actually expecting this development. I sat down at my table and looked all around. There was only one other person sitting there. His name was Sheldon. I didn't know him that good. Sheldon waved his fingers at me. We're the only ones here, he said. We're the only ones who didn't buy hoagies today. I did a sigh. Yes, Sheldon, I know that, I said. Sheldon slid across me. Hoagies are very popular, but I'm not allowed to eat them. He said, I'm allergic to fake meat and cheese. I looked at Sheldon closer. His nose was running very much. Please wipe your nose, I said. Sheldon didn't pay attention to me. I'm only allowed to eat food that comes from nature, he said. His nose ran even more. Also, I'm allergic to dairy, he told me. He handed my napkin. Blow, and I mean it, I said. Sheldon didn't blow. I slid to the end of the table. Pretty soon my friends started coming out of the kitchen. The other children started coming too. They sat down and took big bites of their hoagies. Said Herb. This hoagie is delicious. Sí, said Josue. Muy delicioso. Lenny nodded. Then he opened up his hoagie roll and looked inside. I think you would like this hoagie, Judy B, he said. Look, it has ham and salami and cheese and lettuce and tomato. Just then May butted in her big head in. It's good for you too, Judy Jones, she said. All the school lunches have to be delicious and nutritious. It's the law. So, I said, so school lunches from home can be any old thing, she said back. I did a huffy breath at her. Then I turned my back, and I had my sandwich very secret, and I peeked inside the bread. I stared and stared for a real long time, 'cause I didn't actually recognize the meat, that's why. Finally, I ate it anyway. It was tasty, whatever it was. Chapter 3, Cookies. I was the first one done with my lunch. That's because eating hoagie takes forever, of course. I put my lunchbox away and looked at Herb's place. He had 3 more foods to go. First, he had carrot sticks. Also, he had applesauce and a cookie. I leaned in closer. I think it's a sugar cookie, Herbert, I said. Sugar cookies are my favorites. Herb nodded. Me too. I like sugar cookies too. I touched his cookie with my finger. Yes, sirree, Bob. That's a sugar cookie, all right, Herb, I said. I didn't get a cookie at all today. My mother packed me a fruit bar instead. Oh, said Herb, well, fruit bars are good too. I tapped my fingers on the table, 'cause Herb didn't get my hint. Yes, Herbert, I know that fruit bars are good, I said, but I really wanted a cookie today, and I wish that you would just share that thing with me. That's all. Herb looked at me and shrugged. Why didn't you say so, he said. Then he broke his cookie in two, and he handed me half. I gushed really happy. Oh, thank you, Herb. Thank you, I said, after I stuffed the cookie right into my mouth, and I drank a sip of Herb's milk. Yum! That tasted just like the cookies that Mrs. Gutzman used to make to her afternoon kindergarten, I said. I smiled at the thought of that woman. Gladys Gutzman was our favorite snack lady last year, I exclaimed to Herb. She used to bring cookies and milk every week. I made my voice kind of secret. Only guess what, Herbert? Sometimes Mrs. Gutzman gave me 2 cookies instead of 1, I said, because I was her favorite person in room 9, I think. Josue heard what I said. Hey, that means that I was her favorite in room 8, he said, because sometimes Mrs. Gutzman gave me an extra one too. After that, me and Josue did a high five. Because both of us were favorites. Apparently, that woman was a gem, I tell you, I said. What do you mean she was a gem, Judy B? Said Josue. She is still a gem. Mrs. Gutzman still works here, you know. What? Said very surprised. Sure, she does, said Herb. I met Mrs. Gutzman this year already. She works right in there, in the kitchen. I couldn't believe my ears. Really, I said. Really, really, really? Because if Mrs. Gutzman still works at her school, how come she hasn't brought us milk and cookies this year? Herb shrugged. I don't know, he said. But she still works here, all right. In fact, we saw her just now when we were getting our hoagies. I put my hand over my mouth, 'cause that news was too good to be true. Josue laughed. Ha ha, if you don't believe us, go see for yourself, he said. I will, Josue. I will go see for myself, I said, real joyful. Then I jumped right out of my seat, and I zoomed into the kitchen. I hollered and hollered for Mrs. Gutzman. All right, so next week on Monday, I'm going to read chapter 4, reading about Mrs. Gutzman and see who she is. She is a new character that we're going to see who Judy B. Jones is talking about. All right, first grade, I hope you have a great weekend and stay strong and stay safe.